Hello, welcome. My name is Sam and I'm the Customer Success Manager here at StoryChief. This webinar is all about taking a look at how you can use StoryChief to manage your clients or multiple brands. Why is that so useful? Well, we know from experience that a lot of our users, they are perhaps agencies or they do manage multiple different brands or websites. And using StoryChief for that is really beneficial and fast and easy. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to share my screen and then I can show you inside of StoryChief how we can set this all up. So bear with me a second. All right, fantastic. So again, this is about how to manage clients and brands inside of StoryChief, but why not just do it all in one account? Well, there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is that if you use the same account for everything, your stats will all be together, your websites will be bundled together. If you're working with multiple users, all of the users will have access to all of those stories, even if they aren't relevant to them. That's why we do suggest creating multiple different accounts, each one for a different client or a different brand. So first off, what is an account and what is a profile? So when you create your StoryChief account, there are two things that happen. First, your account is created, obviously, being your organization. So for this particular account of mine, it's called John's Blog. And then we have our user profiles. So you have your account, your organization, and also your own user profile. And one user profile can be in multiple different accounts. And this way you can create multiple different accounts and be able to jump between them very easily. So how do we do that? So let's first take a look at creating a new account. So whenever you want to do that, we just click on the top right-hand corner and we click on Switch Account. Now this is the screen that you see when you log in, but from here we can either pick one of these or we can click on New Account. So if I do that right now, I can then create a brand new organization inside of StoryChief. So I'm going to call it a webinar demo. There we are. And click on continue. And what that does now, it creates that brand new account for you. So here we are, we're already logged in. And from here now, I can switch between both of those. So if I go again up in the top right corner and again to switch account, now we'll see my John's Blog account, but also webinar demo. So now I have the ability to switch between them depending on which stories I want to work on. So I jump back to webinar demo. You see now this is a brand new, fresh account. So I can start writing things in here. I can start inviting users in, all relevant to that account. And because it's a completely different, fresh, brand new account, we can then separate things. So as you see here, we have no stories in here. We have no users added. So everything is entirely brand new and ready to use, just as it was when you created your first StoryChief account. Again, if there are any questions during the webinar, feel more than free to let me know via the chat. There'll be some time at the end for some questions. I look forward to answering them for you. And again, if I'm too quiet, also let me know in the chat. Next up, so again, we have a new account. So what we can then do is we can add new channels as well. And this works exactly the same as when you created your first StoryChief account. We just go up into the top right-hand corner, click on channels, and then you can start to add them just as you did before. One thing I should note is that each StoryChief account has its own pricing plan. So definitely bear that in mind once you start doing this. If you're working for multiple clients, that makes a lot of sense because you want to have these things separated out. But I will discuss pricing a bit more towards the end because there are some benefits of going this way. Now I want to dig into some features that are really tailored for agencies or people with multiple brands and clients. The first one I want to look at is a feature that we've actually updated this week, and that is the ability to request feedback from anyone. Let me just quickly switch back to my other account. Here we are. Let me quickly open up a story. and I can give you a demo of how that works. Here's a story that I just created earlier today. I'm going to open that in our editor. Okay, so if anyone has used this feature before, you might see that it's changed quite substantially. If we click on request approval, previously you could only choose users inside of your account. So people you've invited in, you could send that approval to them. But now we've added that more functionality, so you can request approval from anyone. So if I enter, for example, test@example.com and click on confirm, what will happen is that, that person will receive an email from StoryChief giving them the ability to open up the story. They can then check it out, they can, and then approve it or decline it in its current state. Additionally, you can also leave a message here, which is very handy if it is someone who doesn't use StoryChief. So you can give them maybe some instructions, why they're being asked to approve this story. And this is crucially important if you are working with clients. If you want to let the client see the content that you've written before it is published, you want to get the okay from them, definitely use this. It's very useful for that. And that way, they can stay in the loop on how far along the story is and give you some criticism or feedback if necessary. And then once they have approved the story, you'll receive an email back from us telling you that it's been approved or maybe declined, and also any comment that they leave. All right, so next up, what I want to show you is the ability to preview and download an existing story. Also very useful if you are working with clients. What it allows you to do is sort of similar to the approval function, is to be able to give someone a preview version of your story. So even if they aren't using StoryChief at the moment, if it's an external person, a client, anyone else entirely, you can create this preview link, you can share it with them, and then they can check it out themselves. Alternatively, you can also download the story and then provide it via email if you wish, also to receive feedback. Obviously, the request approval feature is more beneficial if you do want to receive that live feedback. But if it's someone who doesn't want to do that perhaps, or they just want to provide an offline version, you can definitely do that as well. Okay, so what I also want to show you today is, let me just see here. It's how also you can collaborate with other users. So if you are perhaps working in a brand, have multiple people, we can also collaborate together more easily using StoryChief. There are a few ways of doing that in StoryChief. The first one is the ability to leave comments. How do we do that? Well, very easy. We just select some text and we can then hit this comment icon and leave some feedback. Again, very useful if you are in a brand, you have a lot of users, a lot of content. We know from experience, from our own stories, that it can be quite confusing with who's working on what and who's leaving feedback on which piece of content. So you can definitely make use of this to be able to leave people responses and select parts of text. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave a quick comment. Can you check this for me? And I can select someone in my brand, in my account, who can then check it out for me. All right. The second way we can collaborate within a brand is be able to request approval. So again, this is very similar to what I just showed you, but as mentioned, you can also check it out. You can also invite people who are already inside of your account. So this will work exactly the same as when we invited someone externally, but you can also use this internally. So users inside your account. And the really neat thing about using the internal feature here is that they will also receive a notification in the top right corner where they can then see all of the requests, all of their invites in one handy list. Okay. And then the third way is to be able to manually invite somebody in. So again, very crucial if you have multiple users and you want to pick someone from your list to be able to work inside a story, invite them, they receive an email from us, they can then check it out, they can start editing themselves, maybe even publish it if necessary. All right, so after your stories have been published, another way you can work with clients is by checking out reports and sharing it with them. So if I scroll down a bit here and I view a report that I published, say last week, this one will do, and open it up, then we can see, yeah, our report for that story. We can see how many people have viewed it, how many people have read it. If you haven't seen our reports right now, let me just give you a quick breakdown. So a view is someone who has seen your story on social media or on a different channel where they can't read the entire thing. So it's not on your website. Whereas a read is someone who has read it perhaps on your website or Google AMP, any channel where it's readable in its entirety, that counts as a read. And then finally, average read time is how long it takes on average for someone to read your entire story on your website. And if you use lead capture forms, you'll also see an additional button here for how many people have entered their details in that particular story. And scrolling down, we see a graph here, so we can see per day how many people have viewed, read our story, or also added their details via lead capture form if you have that enabled. And then further down, we see a breakdown per channel. So whereas this graph is for everything in the account, this section here is per channel. So you can check out for your website how many people read it, how many people, the average read time as well. On Twitter, for example, how many people, people clicked on there. So yeah, you can really dig in deep to see how well each channel is doing on a daily basis. But how do we use this for our clients? Well, if you go right up to the top here, you'll see these three options. We have print, edit, and share. Edit will take you back into our editor to change the story, whereas print will allow you to print off that report. So if you want to provide it to somebody offline, maybe via email or maybe just print off for your own records, you can do that with this, and you'll have the entire report, in an offline version. But if you want to share it, to a client, you can do that with the share button. Now, this allows you to share that entire report with anybody. So again, very useful if it's working with clients. You can provide the client with the link. You just copy that quick, and they can open it themselves in their browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to paste that actually into the chat here. And you guys can also take a look at that. So if you open it now in the chat, you can see exactly what I'm seeing. You can see the views, the reads. You can click on the sections as well to enable them, disable them. Anything that I could just do, anyone can do with these links. So very, very handy. Because we know, we had a lot of feedback from our users, people who want to, give these stats to their clients, maybe a piece of content that you've written specifically for a client and they want to see how well it performed. They can do that with these links, with these reports. But say if you want to hide maybe a particular channel from that report, maybe it didn't do quite as you hoped, maybe you just don't want to show it at all, you can always do that with this exclude from print option. And that will now remove it entirely from there. So yeah, it depends on how you want to use that, of course. Of course, you could hide details from clients or whatever you want to do. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so I'm running out of content to show you right now. This is what I wanted to show. But I do definitely want to mention before we go to Q&A about agency pricing. How does that work? I mentioned at the start that each account that you create has its own pricing plan and structure. But if you are looking to make use of these features of multiple accounts, we can offer a different plan for you if you're publishing 5 or more accounts. So say if you have 5 clients, if you get in contact with us, you can do so via hey@storychief.io. Then we can sort out a custom plan for you. And the benefit of doing so is that you would receive those additional accounts at a discounted rate. So definitely get in contact with us. Let me just paste that email address into the chat here, hey@storychief.io. and then we can set up a meeting where we can discuss it further together. Yeah, so maybe now we can get on to Q&A. It's a bit of a shorter demo than usual. So if there's anything that you guys want to see, feel free now to ask it in the chat. So I see Andrew, you want to ask something? Feel free to say in the chat. Yeah, feel free to type in the chat, Andrew, if you have any questions, and I can answer them for you. If you're watching a recording of this webinar, you can also send me an email at sam@storychief.io if you have any questions, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. While you're maybe thinking of questions, next week we have a webinar looking at how to start using StoryChief, where I'll be giving a more in-depth look at our editor, our campaign features, our content calendar features. So if you are maybe new to StoryChief or you want to explore our more advanced options, I definitely recommend signing up for that one. You can find all of our webinars at get.storychief.io/webinar. Let me just paste that again into the chat. So definitely sign up. So this is our current webinar, but the one further down is our introduction webinar. So definitely sign up if you are interested there. I see that I have a quick question from Yvonne here. So the account function means I have to buy more accounts. We have 5 clients, but low volume. We are a non-profit marketing agency, so little money, but multiple users and agencies. Yvonne, what I'll do is I'll get in contact with you after this webinar, and we can discuss that together. See what we can arrange there. Is that okay? Okay, great. I'll be in contact with you shortly afterwards then. Are there any other questions from anyone else right now? Let you ever think about that for a second. If you aren't currently using StoryChief and you want to get started, let me just discuss our pricing plans quickly. So you can create your free account today. You can then publish 1 story per month to our William blog. If you haven't checked out yet, here's an example. It's our own blog. It's beautiful. It's easy to use. If however you want to publish to a wider range of channels, maybe a WordPress site or anything else, I do recommend upgrading to at least the essential plan. That gives you, again, access to more channels, and you can also publish more stories per month. However, I can't say however today. However, if you want to publish even more stories and you are working in a large team, you want to make use of our advanced collaboration features, our content calendar, our campaign, I believe the professional plan will be the one for you. So definitely give that a try. And speaking about giving it a try, all of our plans do come with a 14-day free trial. You can give it a go. If it isn't right for you, you can always cancel. Hopefully it is. And if you have any questions during that trial or before the trial or after the trial, whenever it is, you can either open up a chat in the bottom right-hand corner, or you can send me an email at sam@storychief.io, and I'll get back to you at the soonest moment I can. I see a quick question from Kevin. He's not seeing any links that I'm pasting into the chat. Interesting. Okay. That's very odd. Let me just try that again for you, Kevin. So here is the link to, okay, that's very odd. I thought you should have been able to see all of my chats. Okay, that's odd. What I'll do though, guys, is after the webinar tomorrow, you'll receive a copy of this recording so you can check it out again. And in the email, I will paste those links in that email as well, okay? The only links I posted so far was a link to see that report, which I'll put in the email, and the link to the new webinars, which is at get.storychief.io/webinar. All right, any other questions for the time being, guys? I think that must be everything. It was great to be able to talk to you all today and show you how you can use StoryChief for your agency or maybe for different clients and different brands. Hope you're able to learn something. So again, next week we have an introduction to StoryChief webinar. Definitely sign up for that one if you are new to StoryChief, and I'll look forward to seeing you in that one. If not, you see much more communication from myself via email in the future. So I'm sure we'll cross paths again very soon. Okay, thanks again, everybody. See you soon. Bye.